therapy?
I wasn't part of the last.
What did you a better counselor? I will like to hear from you. If you don't send your comment, I will call you one after the other. I will call you one after the other. There about how many of us here? About 10, 12 of us here. So at least I should be able to get one person or two tell me this is what I learned or what I've learned so far in the past 2 weeks of being a part of this 4 weeks short course on being a better counselor. Who do I start with? Fumilayo Ale. Yes. Fumilayo Ale. Were you a part of any of the classes last week or the week before? What did you learn? How has it helped you become a better counselor? Good evening, Fumilayo Ale.
Good evening. Thank you, ma.
Apology. We can't hear you. Maybe you can type it. You can use the chat box to send us what you learned and how it has helped you become a better counselor. I need them. Let's see. Any daddy here? Mamadou. Good evening to you. How is your weekend going? Which of the classes were you a part of? Have you been a part of the 2 classes or 1? Let me know. What did you learn so far?
Good evening, ma'am. Yes, this is my first time of joining the class.
Okay. For your comments, let's quickly proceed. Topics that will be treated. And so after adolescent counseling, and I'm sure that you would agree with me that as counselors, these are key areas that we should learn more, we should expand our horizon on, because a lot is going on, and children want to meet people who they can meet with and speak to, and help them out with issues that they're going through, help them to make better decisions, help them to focus more. So as counselors, we need to be very interested in every aspect of life and every aspect that we know that this is pertinent and important to people and their growth. And so today our first talk will be on child and adolescent counseling. And to take us in this, we'll be having Mrs. Uwosu Ogochukwu. Yeah, and quickly, Mrs. Ogochukwu is a dedicated professional counselor who channels her passion towards young people and family life. Our mission is to empower young people, aiding them in recognizing, developing, nurturing, and maximizing their God-given potential. She's driven by a calling to ensure that families and school models the right values and qualities, contributing to a positive reflection in the larger society. In her role within schools, she has served as a school counselor in both elementary and high school settings, providing expertise in career, psychosocial and academic counseling. She offers psychosocial support to enhance the mental well-being of learners. And in addition, Ogochukwu assesses learners' skills, interests, and goals to provide guidance on career choices, offering insights into academic requirements and the admission process for universities. Ogochukwu holds both a master's and undergraduate degree in guidance and counseling from the University of Lagos. She also earned her NCE in Social Studies and Religious Education from St. Augustine College of Education in Akoka, Lagos. Additionally, she has acquired certification in Microsoft Certified Educators Program, MCE, and the Neuro-Linguistics Program, I beg your pardon, NLP, Family Systems Engineering, FSE, and Daystar Leadership Academy, DLA, and the Certified Character Development and Sexuality Educator. Ogochukwu brings over 14 years of professional experience to the field of counseling and education. Currently serves as a principal counselor at Easy Optimum Education and Counseling Services in Erie. She also dedicates her time as a volunteer counselor at Daystar Christian Center in Oregon, Lagos. Additionally, she contributes her expertise as a faculty member of ADI College of Counseling and physiotherapy. Oh, and psychotherapy, I beg your pardon. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, with me, please, let's welcome Mrs. Nwosu Ogochukwu as she takes us in the first talk today on child and adolescent counseling. Good evening to you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone.
How are you doing? It's good to see you again.
Yeah,
we can't hear you.
I really
don't know if it's for me. I
Good
can't
evening,
hear
everyone. You can't hear me? Okay, just a minute.
I can't hear you, ma'am. Please let's know via the chat box if you can hear Mrs. Ogochukwu.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
hear me?
please. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so some people say they can hear me. Should I continue?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for the feedback. I can read your feedback from the chat room. All right, it's good to be here. Thank you so much, the organizers of this program, for putting this together. It's something we really need in a time like this. We'll briefly, okay, so what we're going to do here this evening is to talk about counseling young people, counseling children and teenagers. But before then, I would like to ask a question in the house. Kindly drop your answer in the chat room. Who is a child? I would like to start with that. Kindly tell me who a child is. Your own opinion. There's nothing like wrong or right answer. Let me just hear from you. What's your opinion of who a child is? Kindly drop it in the chat room. Kindly drop it in the chat room. Who is a child to you?
I get you.
Okay. Child, is anyone on? Please, can we mute our mics, please? Kindly, admin, kindly help me mute everyone, please. A child is anyone under 18 years, okay? A person below the age of puberty, okay? I need more answers, please. I want to be sure we are all in this together. So I would like everybody to participate. Okay, so I'll quickly set it up. I'll share my screen. I hope I'll be allowed. Okay, I'll be allowed to share my screen. I'll share my screen with you, but I'll start. I like to start from the beginning. So if we are not able to cover up, okay, please, the host, I will need the right to share my screen, please. How do we do it? I need permission to share my screen. Kindly make me a co-host so that I can share my screen, please. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing my screen so that we'll all be on the same page. Okay, so as my screen here, I'll go straight to what counseling is not. I still believe everyone can hear me. Okay, if you need my attention, kindly drop a chat. Once you drop a chat, I will be able to. So let's start with what counseling is not, because it's always good to get it clear. I know some people on this platform are not professional counselors. Yes. And can you see my screen now, please? Can someone give me a feedback? Can you see my screen? Yes, okay, thank you. All right, so let's, I just want to be sure we're all on the same page. So what counseling, counseling is not, is what I want to start with. Because when you talk about counseling, a lot of us serve at different capacity in church, in school, in our offices. Sometimes we don't even plan to be counselors, but you see that you're attracting people. People always come to you to ask you for advice, or sometimes they come to you to give them counsel about something, or they will come to you to discuss about what they want to do. Then you will maybe guide them, give them suggestions. Okay, so but I want us to make sure that whatever we're doing, if you see yourself serving in that capacity, you've not been trained as a counselor, but you have been doing the counseling, I need to help someone here to get it to that level where you have a clear understanding of what you're doing. Because with that understanding, you can, you know, excel in it. So counseling is not giving advice. Let's start with it. Giving advice is not counseling. So when someone comes to you and tell you things and ask for your opinion, and you give your opinion and the person runs with your opinion, that's not counseling. So counseling is not giving advice. In counseling, we don't give advice. Counseling is also not being judgmental. Counseling is not the time to tell someone, you did this, you got this one wrong, this is not how you should have done it. That's not what we do in counseling. So that counseling is not being judgmental. Then attempting to sort out the problems of the clients. In counseling, we don't sort out clients' problems. No, that's not what we do in counseling. I'm sure someone is surprised. Yes. So we don't attempt in counseling to sort out the problem a client is going through. No, that's not what we do as counselors. Then expecting or encouraging a client to behave as the counselor would behave if confronted with a similar problem in their life. In counseling is also not making someone live a life like your own. No, that's not what counseling is. Like you teach clients, this is why I do it. Why not do it the way I'm doing it? I am getting my result. This is, do it this way, do it. No, that's not what counseling is. Okay, so let's continue. Counseling is also not getting emotionally involved with a client. And counseling is not looking at a client's problem from your own perspective or based on your own value system. That's not what counseling is. Not a magic answer to life's problem. So that's where I want us to have this understanding before we set out. And someone will now say, if counseling is not advising, then what is counseling? We'll get there. We'll get there. So what is counseling? Counseling is an interactive process, okay, that involves counselee, the person that needs assistance, and the counselor who is trained and educated to give the assistance. And that's the training we are doing here. And now, someone is having, there is a need. The person coming to you has a need or desire, you know, a counsel for something, and the person is coming to you to have an interactive, you know, so if you look at the word, you see interactive, then you see a process. We are going somewhere. So it's also the process of assisting and guiding clients, especially by a trained person on a professional basis, to resolve especially personal, social difficulty problems and difficulties, psychological problems and difficulties. Okay, you will now say, but that's counseling. Yes, let me go back to what counseling is not, and I will give you clarity about what counseling is before we get into the world of children. In counseling, we don't give advice, but what we do in counseling is you interact with the person having the issue, ask the right questions, the right answers will come out. Then you help expand the awareness of your clients. You see the opportunities or the options that are available. Then you guide them. Then they will make a decision or they will take an action. Yours is to guide. provide options and suggestions, but you can't make a decision. You can't even judge a client for what they are going through or blame them for being the cause of what they are going through. No. Or you help your client to expand their awareness to a particular issue they are going through. So counselors, we don't give advice. We don't tell clients, this is what you should do. I think you should do this. So I remember the other sister that came the other day. I told her the same thing. She did it and she got her results. We don't do that in counseling because everybody is unique. Please can we mute our mic? Admin, help me. Someone's there is an interference here I'm getting from here. Please, host, can you mute everyone, please? Thank you. Thank you so much. So as counselors, what we do, our major job is to help people expand their awareness of what they are going through. That thing they call problem. How is it a problem? You ask questions and the person will begin to see, oh, is it actually a problem, or is it a face of, is it a face that a face in the person's life, you know? Then you help the person, ask the person questions, then options will come out from the answers they are giving. See, everybody has solution on the inside of them. You just help them to bring the solution out, okay? Then if it's an opportunity to educate the person, you educate the person, showing the person several options available. The person, then tell the person the pros and cons of each option, and the person will make a decision. You wouldn't want someone to hold you responsible tomorrow and said, oh, it was my counselor that said I should do this, and now it has backfired. Oh, it was my counselor. Oh, it was my pastor that said I should do this. Oh, it was my cell leader that said I should do this. No, you wouldn't want that. So give options and guide the person. The person will make a decision. Oh, if you pick this option A, these are the things that will happen or likely happen. These are the things you will get to enjoy. If you pick option B, these are the likely, you know, you just give pros and cons of every option, then allow your client to make the decision. Guide them, okay? So that when something happens, they will take responsibility, because one of the things we allow our clients to do is to help them take responsibility. That's why we call counseling an interactive session. Not a one-off. Someone will not just come and pour their problem on us and we'll pour solution. No. Okay, so I have to run now. I know some people will have questions. Then please write your questions down. When it's time, we'll take questions. So Christian counseling is a combination of faith with principles of psychology. Okay, so in Christian counseling, we use biblical teachings to help people deal with life challenges. The same thing, you present options from the scriptures, and they will begin to, you expand their awareness of the opportunities they have through scriptures, and they'll still make decisions. Okay, the major objective of counseling is to help your counselee or your client to understand and accept themselves, okay, and bring about a voluntary change in your counselee. Change is not by force. Counseling is not by force, it's voluntary. And any change that will come with it will have to come from the counselee, not you. You don't force or enforce a change. In counseling, your major objective is to help your clients, to help bring about voluntary change in the life of your counselee. Then to help your counselee improve personal effectiveness and so many, you know, other things. I may not be able to say that, but counseling is all about change. Someone is raising hand. Please, I will get to you. As a counselor, you're not just a quick fix. You are concerned about the changes that come into people's lives and the changes that will improve their lives. So in counseling, we don't do quick fix. Okay. Let me now run to children. Let me go and talk about children. But let me say this as we continue. Please, I'm seeing a Temitope's hand, or please bear with me. I will take, I think I won't be able to take questions now. Well, I don't know why you're raising your hand. Is it something that I can type in the chat room? Is it a question? Hello, I'm seeing a hand up. Is it a question?
Please, ma, you can speak on. It might be a mistake.
All right, thank you. So if you're serving in the capacity of a counselor, there are certain things you must know as a counselor. We call it principle of confidentiality. It's something very key. I counsel in church, and I've heard folks tell me that they don't like coming for counseling in church. It's like they don't like to speak to certain leaders in church because they believe that whenever they share things with them, they use them to preach or they use them to raise prayer points. And because of that, some people don't want to come for counseling. I also have a situation whereby someone left a church, and we tried to find out why. He said because he confided, he went for counseling session, and the next week, midweek service, pastor used her to preach. So, and I want to talk about principle of confidentiality in counseling. Whatever clients discuss, whatever thing that they confide in us, we need to keep their secrets. Please don't be surprised yet. I'm still explaining it, okay? So whatever information your client is sharing with you, give them that confidence that whatever they share with you is safe with you. You're not going to use it to preach. You're not going to tell anyone. You are going to, respect their privacy. But I always make a promise to my clients. I will only break the principle of confidentiality on one condition. Once your life is in danger or someone else's life is in danger because of you, I will break confidentiality. So that clause, I always put it. Yes, whatever you share with me is safe with me. Just share it with me and no one else will hear it. Except if your life is in danger or the life of your loved ones or some people around you. Okay, so let's promise confidentiality. It helps people to open up to us. When they know you can keep a secret, they can open up to you. Okay, and another thing is empathy. If you're a counselor, you must learn to put yourself in someone's shoes. It helps to reduce judgmental spirit because we judge people, try to see their faults. Oh, you are the cause of this. You are. But if you empathize with them, try to put yourself in their shoes, you will see that what they are going through is beyond what, instead of judging them, you come with that spirit of compassion to help them. And the third one I will mention here is rapport. Before you counsel anyone, make sure you create a rapport. Rapport is important. In the presence of rapport, anything is possible. Clients opens up to you when you have create a rapport. How do we create a rapport? Someone comes to you, enters your office or see you to talk to you. First of all, admire something about them. Create something that will make them at ease with you. Oh, I like your scarf. I like the way you tied your scarf today. I like the color of your, say something. Or if something is happening around, have a conversation around what just happened. If in church, I always start with the message of the day. Wow, were you blessed by the message today? Sometimes I start my conversation with it. I will now mention a few lines from what I learned from the message, and the person will also say one or two things. And from there, we'll spark up a conversation. In the presence of rapport, anything is possible. Once that person creates a rapport, just find something in that person to compliment and to spark up your conversation. Okay, so let's go into the world of children. Okay, so I have world of children. I have this this is showing on the screen. If you look at it very well, we have the society, the parent network, the homeschool, and neighborhood. So when a child comes into the world, it starts from home. And a home is around the neighborhood. And once a child is still, coming up, next thing, he's in a neighborhood, he goes to school and all that. So we have the inner circle where the life of the child actually begins. That's the mesosystem. That's where the life of the child begins. And this mesosystem impacts is the closest to the life of a child, the home, the neighborhood, before even the people that the parents interact with, the church members, the friends, the colleagues at work, then before the larger society. So we have mesosystem, exosystem, and macrosystem. So when a child, first of all, come into the world, sorry, I asked a question at the beginning. I said, who is a child? I know some people are waiting for me. You answered correctly because I said perspective, your own understanding. Okay, so what I'm going to give us the definition of a child according to the World Health Organization. Yeah, according to WHO, or let me use United Nations. They define a child as anyone below the age of 18. Anybody below the age of 18. So something tells me that children are within primary and secondary school. Anyone below the age of 18, and we can find most of them in elementary and in secondary school, and maybe a little bit in tertiary institutions. So children are both children and teenagers. The people we call teenagers are also children because they are not above 18. All right, so having that understanding that a child is born into mesosystem, there are certain factors that affect a child. Parents' network and the larger society. Okay, so when a child is born, a child, first of all, like I've explained later, have a lot of things that are affecting the environment. We some of us that know a little bit about nature and nurture, the environment, the parental, the upbringing and everything. All these things that affect the child. When a child is bringing into the world, all these things affect the way a child, the stages of each, or the stages of development. How successful a child will go through a particular stage is determined by these factors I just mentioned. Okay, but for a child to be successful, we have three things I'm going to be discussing here. The child developmental needs, when they are met, parents' capacity to handle the child given, and the family and the environmental factors. These are the things that if they are not handled, if any of them is lacking, children will begin to have issues and will have to come to play as counselors. Yeah. Okay, we've had parents complain about their children having this issue or that issue, or behaving in a certain way, or in a particular way. And sometimes we are worried because these children are in the church, they come to church, they hear the word of the Lord. So how come they are not behaving the way we expect them? These children go to school, how come they are still not behaving in certain ways? There are factors responsible for it. Child developmental needs, parenting capacity, then family and environmental factor. If you round them up, you boil down to nurture and nature. If you have not read about this nurture and nature, please find time to read about it. Okay, so child developmental needs. At every stage in life, children have both different stages. And some of the theories we have what we call Sigmund Freud's theory. If you have time, please read some of this theory. If you work with children and you don't know most of this theory, you may not really understand the world of children. If you have time, Sigmund Freud's theory, any of Sigmund Freud's theory, both psychosexual and psychoanalytic theory, read it. Look for Eric Erikson. I'm going to be dropping their names before I end this class. Some of the theories you need to read. Jean Piaget's theory. All these things help. There are a lot of them, but I just mentioned the three key ones that I believe that will help you. Eric Erikson talks about social developmental theory. Psychosexual theory is by Sigmund Freud, and cognitive theory is by Jean Piaget. These theories help, if you have an understanding of it, you will know that if a child is going through a particular stage, allow that child and support that child to go through that stage. If he misses or he gets fixated at a particular stage, moving to the next stage might be difficult. And at a point in time, they will still have to, or they will be trapped at that stage that they did not successfully go through. And it has a way of affecting children's behavior and other things. Some people will say, oh, my child is still bedwetting at a particular age when his mates or her mates are no more bedwetting. It could be as a result of developmental needs. There are other things that could be the cause, but majorly developmental needs. If if a fixation happens at some point. Then parenting capacity. Does a parent understand the child God has given to him or her? I tell parents, have an understanding of each child. Every child is unique. You don't treat them the same way. Have an understanding of how God wired each of them. Do you understand their love language? Do you know their personality type? What have you learned about parenting? Someone just got married and God gave you children and you think you are now a parent. Yes, you are now a parent, but you need to, build up your capacity to take care of them, remembering that God has given them to you as a caretaker. And as a caretaker, you will give account at the end of the day. So you must understand how to provide their basic care, basic needs, speak their love language, fill up their emotional love tank, and provide guidance. Children will always be children. So we can't get tired of providing guidance to them. But I've told this child time without numbers, please, he's still a child, keep talking. Okay, so please, parents, when they don't have that capacity, children might begin to behave in certain ways. So you as a counselor, you need to have this understanding. So when a child comes to you, you with this understanding, you begin to trace the issue the child is going through. Remember, if you cut a tree, give it some days. If you cut a tree, the trunk or the branch of a tree, just give it some days. Rainy season, it can start sprouting again. But if you dig it out from the roots, it will be difficult for that tree to grow again. So when a child comes to you or they bring a report that this child is having so issue, you need to dig deep to get to the root of it, because getting to the root of it will help you to uproot the issue or the cause of the challenge. So that's why we must have an understanding of the developmental stages, then parenting capacity. How is the parent bringing up that child? What capacity does the parent have? Are they providing guidance? Are they speaking their love language? So these are the things we need to understand. Then family and environmental factors. Sometimes people don't have the choice of their environment, maybe because of their socioeconomic status. They may not choose where they want. They know that, oh, I want my children to grow up this way or in this kind of environment, but they may not have the capacity to do that. But wherever they are, they must make sure that that environment, like, if you find yourself, I don't want, I'm just trying to look for a location, but I don't want to mention a specific location, but you found yourself in a location where you feel, oh, I don't want my children to grow up in this kind of environment. What do you protect them? What do you do to help the environment not to have so much impact on them? They wake up there. They go, even if they are going to school, they will see neighbors on their way out of the school. So that community or that environment has a role to play in their lives. And it might be please, can we mute our mics? And it might be part of the courses or maybe part of the things that will affect the children's behavior that they will bring to your table. So you may have to ask questions about the environment, about the family history, about where the parents' socioeconomic status. You may have to ask those questions, because these are the things that will help you to get to the root of where this issue is coming from. Okay, are we on the same page? Please drop something in the chat room. Let me be sure we are on the same page. Please help me drop something in the chat room. I want to be sure we are together. Are we on the same page? Are we on the same page? Are we on the same page? Thank you. Okay, so we're going to talk about developmental tasks changes in children. We have infancy period, middle childhood, and adolescent. Okay, so this is very clear. When a child is born, the child is still an infant, until they get to age maybe 5, 6, we'll say, oh, middle childhood till around 12, before they get into adolescent, puberty setting. We also have what we call early puberty. And now, I don't want to mention ages for this period, because we have, in psychology, we have a lot of arguments about ages. Some will tell you, oh, 0 to 5 years. Some will argue with you and say, oh, 0 to 3 years is the infancy period. Some will say, oh, 4 years to 12 years, while some will say 6 to 10 years is the middle childhood. Please, I don't want us to just get carried away. But I just want us to understand that we have these three major periods in the life of a child: infancy period, middle childhood period. So infancy period, if I want to categorize it academically, I would say that's the early preschool period. The middle childhood period is the period of elementary in preschool, primary school, and secondary school. Let's just use that lay terms for it. So there's need to understand the child that they brought to you. How do you categorize the child? Where is that child at that point? Is he still an infant, or is he a middle childhood period, or is he an adolescent? You must get that. Then I want us to also have an understanding that we have differences in children. We have sexual differences, cultural differences, age differences, personality differences, socioeconomic differences. This understanding will help us to understand the children we are dealing with. So when they bring children to you for a special, for a counseling or a complaint, because most times parents come with complaint, they don't really come for counseling. Sometimes they'll say, this my boy is stubborn, I don't understand what is wrong. You need to talk to him. That's actually, they came for counseling, but they don't call it counseling. They just want to report their child to you. Okay, so we have to have this understanding. Do you understand the sexual differences? Do you understand how boys, behave at certain age, and certain things peculiar to their to boys, and certain things peculiar to girls? We must have that understanding. Then culturally, how do we help children who are from different cultures? We have to have an understanding of how these people behave. So a parent is coming to you to report a particular child to you. You have to have an understanding of their cultural background in order to also, so you don't generalize. Like, I will give an example. Like, I walked into a school and they were saying, this child does not bow to greet people. And I had to quickly step in. I said, do you have an idea the culture? Can we know, maybe in their home they don't do it. Maybe they just greet. I'm not saying we shouldn't teach them how to courtesy. Courtesy is different from teaching culture. Yes, it's different from teaching culture. Some people's culture, they don't prostrate to greet, while some do. So let's not judge the one that are prostrating, and let's also not judge the one that are not prostrating. But let's teach them how to greet when they are, when they are with adults, or when they have to greet an adult. All right. So I always try to point out that age differences. A child just poured water, a child of 3 poured water on the table, and the mother is beating the child. And I asked the question, is it an expected behavior for a 3-year-old child to spill water? I asked that question. I'm not making an excuse for that child pouring water, but I just want to be sure the parents have an understanding. If you have an understanding that it's an expected behavior, the way you would discipline that child will be different from the way you will when you don't have an understanding. So a child just beat another child, and you now beat that child. That you are using the same beating to correct beating. We must have that understanding. It would going to help us to work with children better. Then personality differences. See, some of these things I'm explaining also appeal to teenagers. Remember, we have defined children as people, anyone below a child is anyone below the age of 18. So when we're talking about children, please, all these things appeal to teenagers too. Okay, then we have personality differences. Do you understand how they are wired? There is a book they call Spirit Controlled Temperaments. Every counselor must read that book. First of all, is why you act the way you do. Yes, that one explained about personality. But now, having the Holy Spirit, for those of us that practice in a faith base, we know that we have spirit-controlled temperament. Yes, you are wired like that, but when you are in Christ, you have to use the way you are wired well. And if you have weaknesses, you ask the Holy Spirit to help you. So we must have understanding of personality differences. Then socioeconomic differences too. Why is a child going through a particular thing? Find out the socioeconomic, the background of the parents. It will help. Why I'm pointing this out is to help us as counselors. So when we meet children, we don't just generalize. Even I work with private schools, and most of the even when I get to starting private schools, I also have to profile the private school, because I know the kind of parents that bring their children to starting kind of private school and they are all private school. So I cannot come and generalize. I must have that understanding of socioeconomic differences so that I can be very clear about how I want to help the child or help the children that will come. Okay, so we've mentioned some of this. We've mentioned this already. This is one by one explanation. Sexual differences, physical. We know a boy is different from the girls, and I don't want to go fully into this because we know the issue. This is another topic on its own, the physical differences and how things are, people are getting confused. Okay, I recently worked with a child who says that he feels like a boy since his nursery school, that he's always liking boys. And I tried to dig deep. By the time I just prayed, I said, Holy Spirit, help me to get into the subconscious of this boy because he has taken in so much from the internet. So we needed to uninstall the softwares he had installed from the things he read from the internet. And thankfully, God gave me an ideas on what to do. And by the time we started going into scriptures, deep scriptures about creation and everything, and certain examples and certain things that happens in scriptures, even that child, by the time we're having our fourth section, he was one that confessed that honestly he didn't know. Yes, he reads the Bible, but he didn't know the implications of some of the passages we read until we had that session. Okay, so our world is being messed up right now, even in churches, though in the Western world. But I always tell them here in Nigeria that it's still a no-no. Whatsoever LGBTQ going on around the world is still a no-no, and you will be jailed. In fact, I always talk about it. I talk about how is a no-no in Africa. And I watched a documentary, What is a Woman? That documentary, the man went around the world to make investigation about LGBTQ. It's only in Africa that the sanity is still there. It's only in Africa that the guy found out that LGBTQ is still a no-no. Only in Africa. So I know Africans, sometimes we imbibe Western culture easily. But do we really also value what we have? Let's not go into that matter. Okay, so we've talked about this. We've also talked about, okay, so this is one of the theories I say you should read. Just a minute. This is one of the theories, Jim Piaget's theory. So find time to study it. Here we know about choleric, sanguine. That's when I talked about personality differences. I've already explained it. We know how they are wired. They are differently wired. If you don't understand that a child, that you have a choleric child, you begin to judge that child against the one that is a flag, because a choleric child will always be bossy. He wants things to go his or her way all the time. A choleric child will always, wants to be in charge. He likes competition, and he's insensitive to other people's feelings. If you don't understand, you don't be telling your child, this boy, why do you have this wicked heart at this age? Well, because you don't have that understanding. So you try to, okay, so this is how this child is wired. How can I help to nurture and work on his weaknesses? Help him develop his strength, because most of the choleric people are leaders. Like, they are natural leaders, the way they are wired. What people think they are bossy. If you help them to channel their strengths, you will see that they will begin to lead well. Okay, the sanguines are very friendly, outgoing. They talk a lot. They are influencers. Whenever they are absent in school, everybody knows, because they will miss them. And whenever they show up, their life of a party, let me use that word. Whenever they show up, people know they socialize a lot. If you don't understand the child that is wired like that, you will label that child radio without battery. You will call that child a talkative, without knowing that that child is already gifted. So you begin to speak. Parents, we encourage parents to begin to see that child. Instead of saying that this child is a parrot, you begin to tell the parents, when they bring such a child to you, tell the parents how to nurture the child, develop the communication skill God has given that child. Give examples. Someone like Fela Duratoye, the teacher told him when he was in, I think, secondary school, that people don't make money by talking. That was what a teacher told him. But today, to get Peladrotoye to speak for 30 minutes, do you know how many millions that will enter his account? Yes, but a teacher told him that. And it's something we need to be aware of so that we can help our children. Melancholies, those ones are very organized, perfectionists, they're always, so let's have this understanding. The flags are very quiet, but they can support you from the back. They are steady supporters. They are peacemakers. They don't like confrontation, and they don't like people shouting at them. They can be slow too. Not that they can't give you result. They can give you result, but they don't like people rushing them. So have this understanding. It will help you, or help the parents that will bring a child to you. So when we're talking about children, we have children that need help are the ones that have poor self-image, excessive attachments to media. In fact, this era we've been working on addiction to internet. In fact, next week I'll be speaking somewhere on digital wellness. I will share the flyer with I'll try and share the flyer with the convener of this program so she can share it as many as that. Let's talk about digital wellness, how to help our children to maintain their their well-being, because these days when the media is taking their attention, they get so attached to it that some people cannot live without this device. Some people cannot have 1 minute, or 10 complete minutes without touching their phone, even adults. Okay. Then abuse, children that have been abused, whether sexual, emotional, physical, or neglect, any form of abuse, they need counseling. Children that are traumatized, someone who has gone through a traumatic situation need to be counseled. Or issue with toilet training. I talked about bedwetting. Bedwetting is part of toilet training issue, but not only it. There are other factors that could cause bedwetting, but toilet training, homework, academic demands, anxiety, depression, or a child who is observed, to be emotionally distressed. Okay, because I work in a school, or I work with schools, most times teachers will just tell me, "Oh, counselor, I need you to see this child. I've observed this child is very active and very outgoing. All of a sudden, I notice that she's withdrawn or he's withdrawn." That calls for attention. So it might just be that the child is going through emotional stress or something. Then career guidance, some children need to, they will tell you, "I don't even know what I want to study in the future." Addiction, abandonment. I know my time is almost up. Please, can you still hear me? Someone is saying that you can't hear me. I'm actually trying to rush because the timing is a bit short. I don't know if we'll be able to meet up. Someone is saying that you can't hear me. Please kindly help me confirm. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, ma.
All right. Thank you.
Please,
let's
hear you,
get
ma.
ready for our questions, please. Let's get ready. I have 10 more minutes, but I would like to take questions honestly before I step out. So please, you can send your questions in so that our anchor will put them together. Okay, so thank you. Addiction, abandonment, or lack of attachment, and other experiences. Now, when we have to counsel children, our major focus is to reduce whatsoever they are going through, whether emotional stress or dysfunctional behavior. And again, we have to help the children promote adaptation, develop potential. Sorry, that's potential. That shouldn't be there. And to assist them in decision making. Okay. Now, when we want to do counseling, I encourage us not to do counseling at home of the child. I know some people will not ask, where do we now do counseling? Therefore, some people like us that have office, yes, we do counseling in our offices, but some situations we do, but most times if it's a traumatic or emotional issue, I don't do counseling at home. And we recommend professionally that we reduce, because that home might be where the issue is coming from. And so there is need to take a child to a neutral environment. I do counseling in church. I tell people, bring your child to the counseling office in the church, in the local assembly where I worship, and I can attend to a child. I need a neutral environment. Sometimes I do like people that live in an estate, if they have a garden or a place that the estate has built for people for relaxation, sometimes I use there. I try to use venues that are neutral to the child and a safe place, because the issue you want to address might be happening at home, and the fear will not let the child open up to you, and the presence of the people there too. Now, because he's a child, of course, there must be an adult that will bring him or her. Please let me say this, I just remembered. Please don't counsel any child without parents' approval or some sort of permission from someone. If you must counsel anybody below the age of 18, get approval from parents. Because I'm attached to a school, so any school I go to and I have to counsel a child, it's already under the leadership of the school. So I can counsel that child without the parents' permission. But I can't counsel any random child I see outside without parental consent. I can't do that. In church, because if we have junior church, like the children's church, and there is a leadership in the children's church, please let it come through that. I know why I'm saying, because we've had cases where good people with a good heart, a compassionate heart, trying to help young people, for the parents to show up tomorrow and said, you're trying to make my child turn against me, or you start accusing the counselor, someone who's just trying to help. You begin to accuse the person. So for us to reduce that, we try to put let's follow a process that will protect us from such a danger. Okay, so if the child is having an issue in the junior church or in your teens church, let the leadership know. And once you have a session with the child, update the leadership that you had a session with the child, or I'm going to have a session with this child after church service today, or during church service. Let them know also about the timing and the place you're using. Let it be in church to avoid different issues, okay, coming up. Because we have good hearts, we want to help, but let's follow a process so that we can protect ourselves. We've been in a situation where if something happened to someone and an NGO wrote to the church where I was serving, and they said to us that someone came for counseling in our church, and yet we didn't protect that person, and the person eventually was abused. And when the letter came in, they quickly called the head of the department, and we produced all our reports. And that was the only way the church was removed from that case. What happened? The person said we shouldn't tell anybody, we shouldn't come to the house. We said, okay, we will not come, but you have to fill our form. Intake form has an address and phone number. He gave us wrong address. He gave us wrong phone number. Now, when she left, we sent 2 people to trace the address so that we can be sure. And the reason, because of the case, remember that confidentiality can be broken when the person's life is in danger. And it was a case of an abuse. So we quickly sent 2 people to go there to verify the address, so we can begin to make plans on how to protect her. And next thing, they said there was nothing like that in that area. There was no address like that in that area. We called the phone number, not available. Sorry, it does not exist. And that's how the people that went came back, we updated the report. So by the time the girl eventually got abused and the matter got into the hand of the government, and the NGO handling it wrote to the church, because the girl said she went for counseling in a church. So when the matter came up, they summoned the HOD summoned the people that attended, the person that attended to the girl. And the person brought the reports he submitted. So that tells me that if you're handling anything, please document. Carry your leadership along. Document whatsoever you're doing. Even in my private practice, I run a counseling outfit, I document. And before I counsel your child, I have a form we call terms of engagement. Both parents must sign it. Wherever the parents are, except if one of them is late, I send the form, email addresses of both parents, they sign it and scan it back to me before I can attend to your child. Or if it's from the school, you have given the school the child already. So I walk into a school and I attend to them. So let's let's get that aspect also sorted out. Document, get permission from the leadership or from the parents of the child. But some children will not let you tell their parents. Please, especially in church, let's get the leadership involved. Now, not getting them involved in the whole story, but let them know that some children need counseling and you want to attend to them. If possible, give him a brief of, oh, I handled this case, I was so Sunday, and I'll have a follow-up session. If possible, please, because you're protecting yourself. You have a good heart, you are compassionate about it, but let's protect ourselves, because the way the world is going, in the place of trying to help too, some things can go wrong. So let's cover up. So if possible, in the presence of, not in the presence of parents. Yes, parents can be around, they'll give their permission. When I handle some children and their parents are around, I tell the parents, please get to the restaurant and enjoy yourself. Leave me and your child. If I need you, I will call you. Okay, so they do that because their presence might also make a child want to confide in you. So at this point in time, I will need to talk about teenagers. Let's quickly look at stages of adolescence. We have early adolescent stage, we have middle, and we have late. My time is actually up, but I have to mention this. Okay, so for the forthcoming training, our program I'm having next week, I will share the flyer with you so that you can involve in digital wellness. Okay, so we have early adolescent stage, middle adolescent stage, late adolescent stage. Early adolescent stage is that onset of puberty where children are beginning to develop, you know, changes happening and all that. And you know, there is need to educate children. So as counselors too, you know, a child can come to you and tell you how he or she is feeling, or maybe they don't understand their feelings anymore. I don't know, sometimes I'm not happy and I don't know why I'm not happy, because they're going to be having mood swings. The changes are happening. They are even so concerned. All of a sudden, they're becoming so conscious of themselves, you know, their steps, how they look and all that. So let's also have an understanding of the peculiarities of this stage so that we can help them. So at this stage, children like to express their independent ideas and thoughts and also their feelings. They like to express it. And what I recommend is let's allow them. Sorry, just a minute. I have another meeting. Let me just. Sorry, I have another meeting. Let me just tell them I'll join them. Thank you. Okay, so at this period, they like their privacy. They want to express their independent thoughts. And sometimes parents begin to feel this child does not open up to me again. This child wants to have his way. And you tell them to do something, they want to do it at their own time, not at your own time anymore. I go and watch the plate, say, oh, mom, I've heard, I will watch it. Yet they are still sitting down, pressing phone. And you're wondering, I will collect that phone. I say you should go and watch the play. Is because they are just trying to express their independent ideas. They want to do things. They want to show you that they have grown. A parent called me one day and said, my daughter has been saying something, or counselor, what do I do? What is it? The daughter has been telling the mother, mommy, just wait until I turn 13. Mommy, just wait until I turn 13. And the mother was like, what is it about 13? I don't know. And the woman called, I said, there's nothing about 13. You too, tell her, I am waiting for you to be 13. I am waiting for you to be there. You will see, she will stop saying it. Okay, so, but as parents, we need to prepare ourselves for this stage. This stage is a stage where you will feel you are losing your children. You will feel, these children no longer confide in me. We used to be best of friends. We used to talk a lot. I used to talk with my daughter. They tell me everything. All of a sudden, I no longer, it's because of the stage. But yes, the friendship can continue. But you must also understand, you know, why they are doing all they are doing. Then step in, give them their space, step in, give them their space, step in, you know, and continue the relationship. So there will also be changes in their feelings, their hormones are changing. So it's causing the mood swings and all. They're also trying to figure out who they are. So they tend to have that, you know, crisis. And sometimes we are not even helpful. sometimes we are not helpful. Sometimes we'll just say, can't you take care of your younger ones? And next minute, you tell them, you let them know you're a big girl, you can take care of your younger ones. And next minute, you're talking to them, this small girl like you want me to do this for you, you want me to buy this, So somehow they are trying to, figure out who they are, why those changes are happening. They're trying to get their identity. Who am I, and all that. So this is the period they try out so many things. They try out so many things. They begin to read up about so many things, begin to listen to their friends more than they listen to their parents. And this period, I used to tell them, if you want to get it right, you need a higher information. You don't need an information coming from someone like you. You don't know. The person does not know. So you guys will just be, so I tell young people, get the information from a higher person instead of getting from your peer. Because your peers are just struggling like the way you're struggling. That question you're asking is also the question they're asking. Okay, so we have pressures from friends, as peer pressure, role confusion, and so many more. Let's talk about their physical appearance. At this point, they are focused on how they appear, how they look, and everything. And at this point, some of them begin to have low self-esteem when they begin to look at other people better than they are. Oh, how come my legs are not straight like this? Or how come I suffered as a teenager. I had low self-esteem as a teenager because I didn't know why my color was this fair and others are dark. Like I have dark people around me. How come I'm the only one fair? And I didn't understand it. And I was also big. Physically, they used to call me horrible. And you know how they used to call me horrible, and I feel out of, like, my seniors in school, if they want to have a good laugh, they will call me to run. I stayed in a boarding school, so they will call me, oh yeah, come, you run and go and get this thing for me. They just want to see how horrible we run, and all of them will be laughing. So with that, I had so much low self-esteem. I didn't like my body. I wanted to be slim like others. I will not eat well just for me to slim down and all that. So for these young people, these are also their struggle. My physical appearance, why should I be this fair? And people call me Oyibo Pepe, like walking on the street, someone is calling you Oyibo Pepe and all that. So all these things affected. I didn't like my physical appearance growing up because I didn't understand it. And there was nobody to tell me something about it. So our work too is to help empower teenagers or adolescents to appreciate. In fact, I used to tell them, see the way you are. God wired you like this for a reason. You see that assignment he has called you for. That is why he wired you like. Just wait until God revealed that assignment to you. You will see that you are wired for this. That the way you appear is for your assignment. That's how I used to convince them. Okay? Self-assertiveness, let them know their rights, and so that they can't be easily swayed. Let's teach them to understand their rights and respect other people's rights. Then finances, these teenagers, parents should support their teenagers, and if possible, let them do holiday and job shadowing or something. Let them work, let them intern, so they can also earn a living. Because most of them go into, stealing, because it's one of the issues adolescents have, stealing. That's because they don't have enough finance and they want to do things their mates are doing. They want to buy what their mates are wearing. They want to buy the raining top, the raining slippers and all that, and they don't have money to do that. So let them get involved into internship. During a long vacation, find some job to do while you're on holiday. Okay, so I think I will stop it here because of my time, because there's another speaker and I wouldn't want to. Okay, someone wrote in here, many adults around the teenagers at home and in school are not available or patient to listen and attend to the questions. Yes, a lot of people are busy. I didn't have anybody to tell me when I was struggling with my self-identity. I didn't have a lot of people. Okay, so let me round off with this. Please just give me 1 minute. Let me just wrap up with this. Please, let's always listen to young people. Someone just made a comment that people are not available to listen to them. Sometimes when they open their mouth to talk, we are already screaming, and next time they will not talk again. Okay, let's listen to their voices. Let's pay attention to their words. The ones they are saying and the ones they are not saying. In communication, words only carried 7%, tonality 38%, and physiology 55%. So most times when they are talking, please look beyond the words they're speaking. Look at their body language, their face, their eye. Sometimes when they are talking to me and they are lying to me, I know just by the way they look. Their eyes, and they can be looking at you eyeball to eyeball and they are lying to you. Yes. So observe their physiology, even the tone of their voice. Sometimes they are not consistent. Ask questions, keep asking. Okay, but listen to them. Let's pay attention to them. They're actually struggling, though. They are battling with a lot of things. In fact, and in this era, in fact, with the internet and social media, they're not even helpful. I don't have Snapchat on my phone because I'm also using it to teach my teenagers. I don't have Snapchat. I like myself the way I am. Snapchat will change your color, will change your face. You post it on social media because you want people to like it, but that's not truly who you are. Someone said they went for an event, they saw the flyer of an event. By the time they saw the person physically, they didn't believe it was the same person that was on the flyer. So why am I saying this? Let's tell our teenagers to love themselves the way they are. And again, let's also model it to them. Let's walk the talk. Let's lead them by example. Every adolescent around you, anything they see you do, they are picking it. Even children, they learn by modeling. Whatever we do, that's why children, when they are growing up, you see them acting. That's a play. Daddy, mommy, they are cooking, they are driving. One is driving, one is acting as mommy, one is acting as daddy. It's because they are observing. Okay, so encourage their social life in a positive fashion. They must relate with both boys and girls. Let's not. A girl went to the UK to study, and all of a sudden started having only girlfriend introduced to the mother, and the mother fainted. What happened? They said, "But mommy, you always taught me to stay with girls. You never allowed me to talk to boys. So I am loving girls, and I want to do life with girls." And the mother fainted. So let's encourage social life. Our children must relate with opposite sex, but in a positive fashion. Let's teach them, empower them on how to socialize. Let's talk about teach them personal space, teach them how to, communicate with opposite sex, how boundaries, teach them boundaries. Let me use the word boundaries, but they must socialize. They must relate with people. Not when we see them with boys, you're already shouting, you're ready to get pregnant. Oh. No, that's wrong signal. So let's teach them, encourage them to socialize. Then let's help recognize the uniqueness of each of them and treat them with their uniqueness. Let's not compare them. Once you start comparing, you lose them. Create a trusting relationship with them, whether your students or your counselee or your children, and be genuinely interested in them. I will rest my case here. Thank you so much, organizers, but the timing was just so short. I wish I could give in more. So thank you. Let's take questions. Madam Lola, do you have any questions for me? Do we have any questions?
Thank you so much, Ma. So quickly in 5 minutes, because we still have another speaker. Yes, thank you, because we still have another talk. I'm just going to take 2, I'll be able to take more than 2. The first question here is, how can you help a child? The next question is,
I can't hear you. Do we have them in the chat room? Do you have the question in the chat room? Let me see.
Can you help a child who is addicted to the internet?
Okay, addicted to the internet. What age is the child? Sorry, I didn't really hear what you said. I'm looking for the question. Is it in the chat room? Is the question in the chat room?
No, ma, I don't think it is there. She said that how can you help a child who is addicted to the screen? Is it screen or phone or internet? Addicted to internet.
Apologies, my network was off. So the internet.
Okay. The internet. I have a question to ask. When a child is addicted to internet, who bought
Yes,
the phone for the
quickly.
child? Okay. A parent bought a phone for a child, and now the child is getting addicted. You bought that phone. Please take the phone away and address the issue. Most times we empower our children with a device without educating them. So we need to educate children on how to, I'm just not buying this phone. The phone is for communication and for this and for that and for that. And it's also not for this and for that. We must make it clear from the beginning before we give out any device to a child, whether educational device or just for communication. There is need to sit down and educate them, enlighten them of what that device is for. Then create a routine. Have parental control. Set screen limits, screen time limits. If possible, set screen time limits. Once it's 11 o'clock on this my phone, it goes black and white that I may not be able to, internet to begin to, if internet will not function well again, it will tell me that it's bedtime. 11 o'clock, it goes black and white, and it start telling me the internet will start, it won't function, it won't open up apps easily anymore. Why? Because of the setting. So if a child is addicted to phone, can we create other offline programs, offline activities they can do? And once in a while, take this for, like now that school is on, our children don't have any business with phones until they're on holiday. They don't have any business with phone. When they're on holiday, we'll give them, when they have an assignment to do, okay, can you time them? We have a lot of apps that you can use, parental control, that you can use to monitor your child's phone from your own phone, whatever site that child is visiting. Whenever the child is on the phone, everything the child is doing, you'll be seeing it. So maybe you should do that. It's one of the ways to help children. And again, when we take the phones away, let's also explain why we are taking the phone away and what exactly are they doing every time with their phone. Let's find out what they're always doing. Let's find out. Then sit down with the child, and if he's a teenager, sit down and have a good conversation. Parents have different things that work for them, but I have teenagers that will not use phone until they finish their work. It's an agreement. We don't argue it. It's an agreement. After work, you have a phone. So why some parents may not be able to do that. But we also have this small phone, this ITEL phone that they can use. It's for communication. It's a house phone. Keep it at home. It's for communication. So it depends on how our family values. So I may not give a one way to handle that. I think it's in the hand of parents to take that decision. You can take the phone away, educate the child, have an agreement before you return the phone. Or you only have your phone certain days and certain time of the day. If you're not always there, link your phone to the child's phone so you monitor everything. Thank you. I really want to apologize to the next speaker. I'm really sorry for taking extra time. Is there any other question?
That will be all, ma. Thank you so very much. We're grateful. Thank you for taking us through this session.
Coming up next week, I will communicate with the organizers, the education projects. You shared it. So she dropped a number on the WhatsApp, sorry, on in the chat room. Send her WhatsApp so she can add you to the group where she will drop the flyer, if possible, or she can send the flyer to you directly. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right,
everyone.
thank you so much. Thank God, ma. Thank you, ma. Moving quickly, we'll be taking the next speaker, who will be teaching us on addiction recovery counseling. Addiction recovery counseling. And the person, our speaker, is Pastor Meroyi Emmanuel Olayinka. He's an addiction rehabilitation case manager and a counselor at Wellspring Rehabilitation Center, Lagos. Currently, he's the head of administration and HR at Redeemer's Health Center, Redemption City of God. Please let's make welcome Pastor Meroyi Emmanuel Olayinka as he takes us through addiction and recovery counseling.
Okay, good evening and thank you. Good evening, everyone. Please, can I get a feedback?
Good evening, sir.
Good
Yes,
evening.
sir. We can hear you, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Mas.
Good evening, sir.
It's a pleasure to be here. And Councillor Ugochukwu, thank you. That was a wonderful session. Okay. All right, man. Please, I'll be speaking on addiction and recovery counseling, drug addiction and recovery counseling, with a sub-theme taming the most monster of substance abuse. Please, can I be permitted to share my screen? Hello? Okay, thank you.
Okay, please, can you hear me now? Yes, sir.
Very well,
Yes,
sir.
sir, we can.
Loud and clear, sir.
All right. So I'll be taking us through a bit of substance abuse, and most of my quotes and information will be coming from the definitions by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the National Institute of Health. They are like guides on things of substance abuse and drug use. But I'm not going to delve into that area because we are not really talking about science. We're talking about the human aspect of it, which is mostly the social. So, taking it from substance abuse refers to the harmful or hazardous use of drugs and other substances is there, and mostly for purposes which they are not designated for. For example, we have people who take heroin. They take heroin, opium, that's for just fun and to be high. Whereas, in as much as opium is ready for medical use, taking it just to be high is not the purpose for which it is designated, and it is also a controlled substance. So that is why the moment you start taking things that are not meant for a particular purpose, for that purpose, then you are engaged in substance abuse. So include use of prescription drugs, banned or controlled substances, as I mentioned. Substance abuse is often as a result of temporary satiation. You just want to be satisfied. You just want to get something. You just want to have a feeling. So most times people engage in all this because they feel it will take them to a particular level at this point, and it will make them feel good. They use it with expectation that it will bring in some sort of pleasure or a distraction from life problems or temporary feeling of self-insufficiency. Like I had a case sometime not too long ago, about I think 6 months ago. One of the cases I manage and also under my direct counseling leadership, and the major challenge that led this person into drug was came back from Germany, came in with a lot of money, set up business. Over time, the business collapsed. The family came up, gathered money for him again to go back into that same business. He continued in the same business, and before you know it, the business collapsed. So the family gave up. And the friends were like, well, please just come. Let's go and have something. All this challenge, you just see that you will not feel them again. Before you know, he started following them to joint. Day 1, day 2, day 3. All of a sudden, he stopped going home. He started living at the joint. So that is it. So life's problems, or even willingness to just let go of what you are feeling now so that you can come out of that challenge, is also something that lead people to
substance abuse. There are also cases of substance abuse caused by desire to reduce pain without prescription from qualified health personnel. We have one example I can give you is, I think about 3 years ago, I case managed someone who happened to be a sickle cell patient, had sickle cell anemia, and was on controlled, like pentavalent is a drug for pain, but it's a controlled drug, so you don't just use it. So this boy just, once the parents are not at home, he will just go pack this thing and be taking it just for the pain to ease off. All of a sudden, he couldn't live without the penta, and he had to start stealing, because when he went to the university, he had to keep buying from his allowances, and before you know, he had to start stealing to get money to buy the drug, which led to the school calling the parents, and before you know it, he had to be rusticated and he had to come for rehabilitation. So most times when you start seeing children going around drugs, we need to be very careful, because many may fall into addiction. Now, people become addicted to substances because of the reward they believe they can get from it. And that is where I'm going to go into a little bit about what brings addiction most of the time. What brings addiction most of the time is because people believe that if I take this, I'll get better, I will do better, I'll fare better. They believe they can get rewards, like passing exam. Maybe you don't take time to read before exam time, and you want to crash read, like many people do when it's maybe a week to exam. You just want to read longer so that you can cover the syllabus and pass. Then you have to start taking, well, some take coffee, which is not a banned substance, so to speak, but some go as far as taking other forms of drugs just to keep themselves awake, and in order to be able to read long nights. And before you know it, they keep doing this, keep doing this, keep doing this. And then it gets to a point, even when you don't need to read again, you have to start taking the drug. I case manage a medical student, I think, was it 2 years ago, so to speak? Yes, he finished his last exam and had to come for rehabilitation because he was on drug and he couldn't go into practice with that kind of mental state. And in the course of our counseling and discussions, I got to know that because he wants to pass MBBS, he wants to pass the clinical exams, he had to read a lot of books. And for him to read a lot of books, he had to take drugs. And it got to a point, even when he's not reading, he couldn't do without the substance any longer. We also have cases of people who use drug in order to compete. We all see it, those of us that watch sports, people that get banned for taking some substances in the course of maybe running or playing football. Even they get tested after giving up a performance that is extraordinary. They can call them and say, random testing, just pick one of the players. Okay, come, let's check. So all this cause addiction. Also, the common one, which has to do with our children, schools, and the rest of it, they want to belong. They want to be seen by their mates as, oh, yeah, you too, you are part of us. In fact, I can tell you that about 70% of cases we've seen at our facility were as a result of secondary school, mostly secondary school students. And why is this? There are people, I'm sorry, I'll use Yoruba, there are people they call Egbon Adugo. I don't know if we understand Egbon Adugo. They just want to hang around Egbon Adugo, like they want to just feel like the big boys. And for the girls too, they want to be seen as baddie. I think they want to be seen as they are not just home children. They too, they know what's going on. And so before you know it, they start taking They can start from the little Indian hemp. Indian hemp is even like the list of the challenge now. You from Indian hemp, you go to Arizona. From Arizona, you go to Colorado. Before you know it, they are into the iron one. They start taking crack cocaine. They start taking all sorts. And it all starts from, oh, I want to be independent. I want to feel among. I want to be like the guys I'm seeing around. The music they watch, the language in the music, projecting drugs, projecting substances. They just want to be like Wizkid, singing, carrying the drugs up and down. Everybody just want to be seen as they are there. So most of the time, please, we need to watch the people our children hang around with. Now, as I said, most of our the things we'll be discussing stems from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So they look at addiction as compulsive and non-controllable cravings for psychoactive substances. And this ends up affecting the brain and causes a total lack of control over other areas of human life. Sorry, it's over other, not others, other. I think that's the title. Over other areas of human life. When people start taking substances, day one, day two, before you know it, they can't do without it. The body get used to it. Before you know it, other parts of their life get affected too. They can't perform well at their job. They can't do well in the course of life activities because they are now addicted to a particular thing. And if they don't take that thing, they won't be able to do any other thing. Psychoactive substances are substances or drugs that affect your mind and brain. Example, scooches, Arizona, Colorado, India hemp. These are just the small ones. Then you now go to crack, you go to heroin, and the rest of it. So, and okay, let me just talk practically about some of these things. I want to tell you that most likely on your streets, you have people selling these things. Those young guys that sit and crowd a particular aboki that you just passing, you just see them always around there. Most likely they are getting Colorado. Colorado is the new in thing now. You hear colos. You see people jumping into gutters, vibrating. That's the common one around now, and is causing serious challenge for our youth. I'm managing a case right now, a very young guy. And I believe that God himself will take charge because our facility happened to be a Christian rehabilitation center under RCCG Apapa family, and is being headed by Pastor Buki Jinodu, whom I'm assisting. So now let's come to factors that aid substance abuse. I'm just going to run over them. Number one, economic challenges. I've mentioned one where someone's business fails and he had to rely on drugs in order to just get off the thought of the loss of money. Now, the major one now is Jackpot. I know we all know Jackpot, right? Everybody knows Jackpot. Most people even want to Jackpot, those that are still here. But, there is nothing that happens that has no consequence. There's nothing that happens that you won't see the effect. Most times, especially families that could not move at once, a member of the family leaves all the challenge of running the home in the hand of the other member, which may become so cumbersome and so challenging that that person is not able to handle. And before you know it, the children want to have their space, have their freedom, and this person cannot manage it alone. So it becomes a challenge because the children begin to take what they feel will make them to belong to people around them. Also, environment affects, like from people that I know, I don't want to mention particular areas, but we all know, even close to where I stay around there are joints that people go to, even on the street. If you live in an environment where people get to see drugs, get to buy drugs without anyone challenging them, please, you need to be careful with your children. You need to be careful. And if God permits or allows you, gives you the substance, it's better you relocate and move to a better area, because sometimes environment affects these children. You won't be there with them 24 hours. You won't be there with them after school. They can access this thing. People can even send them to go and buy it. And in order to be respectful, they want to help people get this thing. So we need to be careful of what happens in our environment. Also, pressure from parents and friends. Like the last speaker said, these children want to be independent. Or even you're forcing children to study courses that they are not wired for, or they don't have interest in. That happens a lot. They are not wired for this. You just want them to be this. They'll take drugs in order to be able to meet up with what you are. Oh, sorry. Hello. Can I get a feedback? Hello.
Hi.
Hi, sir.
Can hear you, sir.
Yeah,
Can
you.
hear you, sir.
All right, sorry. I'm actually using a laptop. I'm reading from a laptop that is not connected. So I just saw that I've not really been what's it called? Okay, now you are seeing where I am, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Okay, now sorry, I think I'll be changing boot now. Now, counseling. Now those are just the background, and let me just talk practically now. Relating with drug addicts or people that use substance is a very challenging task, is a very challenging area of ministry or counseling, because you are relating with people whose reasoning is affected. They are not mad. They are not psychiatric cases like that. But you know that they can be relied on. So you are being careful, not just for yourself, but for people around. Because the urges are always there. They don't see anything as too important not to waste. I interviewed a candidate some time ago. She ended up not coming to our facility. Now I interviewed her, and the challenge the parents were okay. It was the mother alone, because the father was late. The mother, single mother, taking care of her, an only child, and the mother properties, most of it had been sold by this girl. Sold in order to get money to buy substance. And I asked her, okay, you are having access to money now. This woman is making money. This woman is above 60. And you've been to university, dropped out, you're in the second one now, on the verge of dropping out. what if this woman drops dead now because of all this your trouble? You get pension, right? You get a pension, you get a resources, and then you waste it on drugs. What happened to you? I had to ask her that question because I was like, with the things the mother mentioned that this person had sold, I couldn't bring myself to look like, okay, if you keep selling everything, what happens if there's nothing else to sell? You sell your body. Let's move on. Now, okay, I mentioned in the last slide, the counseling is a guide from Christian rehabilitation perspective and not clinical counseling. So, as we all know that addiction management is number one clinical, which is in the purview of psychiatrists and those who work in mental health facilities. But we have the Christian aspect of it, which we at Wellspring Rehabilitation handles, and other facilities like RCCG and other places have facilities for rehabilitation. And what we do is basically Christian caregiving and counseling. So what I'll be saying is basically in relation to Christian counseling. Number one thing is that I want us to know that addicts talk freely. People that abuse substances are always open. That is why I don't know if you know something about people that drink or drinks a lot. They'll tell you if you want somebody to tell you a secret, get them drunk. I think I heard that a lot. And even I think a particular king, isn't Shakespeare or so, if you're not drinking around him, he's always worried. I guess is in one of the Shakespeare books. I can't remember which particular one now. He get worried because he knows when you are drunk, when you drink and you are drunk, he gets to know what's in your mind. But when you don't drink, then you are a very dangerous person because cannot get to know what's in your mind. So addicts talk freely because they are not in control of their mind. So they are always open and they are always. So we don't create a limit to what we will hear when you are counseling them. When you sit with them, just be ready to hear anything. Don't assume that, oh, this is a Christian environment. No. A young lady can tell you, I don't feel okay if 3 or 4 people have not slept with me in a day. Just feel as if it's nothing. Because if you let these things get at you, you will not continue. It's a very, very wild world out there. So, number one, they talk freely. You keep an open mind in counseling addicts. Number 2, be on guard because addicts lie a lot. They lie a lot. I've seen cases of people faking illnesses, faking medication, prescriptions, faking diagnosis in order to get money. I interviewed someone not too long ago. He ended up not coming to our facility. And in order to, in assessing him, I looked at what is wrong with him and I'm like, bro, this thing is not as bad as painted. And he said, yes, he has to make it look as that bad in order for people to give him money. Because if he does not present it as bad, he will not be able to get money from people to do drugs. So he had to We have people who deliberately wound themselves. And please, you heard it well. They deliberately inflict wounds on themselves in order to carry these wounds to beg. So be on your guard, be ready to be lied to. Everything you hear, just listen. Number 3, ensure you pray with your client in the course of counseling. Let's try and pray with them. If you happen to have a client who is into drugs, please, most times they are open to prayer. Then express hope and optimism for the recovery of the client using scripture. One of such scripture is what I placed here, John 8:32. When you know the truth will make you free. Just tell them you have the truth to tell them. Let them know that Jesus is the way. Let them know that he is better than what they are taking. Then show high degree of empathy, patience, and tolerance. Addicts can talk. I told you they talk freely. They can talk. If you are not careful, you can be on a case for so long. So all you need to do is, while you are within your time, but just make sure you listen and be patient and tolerate them, please. You can be counseling and somebody will tell you, I need to eat, because drugs makes them eat and they take a lot of milk. So show empathy, show patience, be patient, and be tolerant. Then now the technical area is you need to probe. You need to probe into the use. We have people that use occasionally, maybe when they are around their friends, they just use, and once they leave, they don't use again. You can have people who just use, maybe if they go to school, they use, and when they are home, they don't use. Or you have people who just use maybe when they visit a particular person. I had a case of a girl. That was like my second or third case then, who just only when she visits her boyfriend, that's when she uses. And gradually, I think, okay, no, it's only when she visits. And then along the line, she brought it home. Yes, she brought it home and the parents got to know and they had to drag her. So we have people like that who are occasional users. They don't use like often. We have cases of people who are casual users who just use when they see people using around them. But you have those who are already daily users who have cravings. They have cravings, they can't do without it. And if once you have people like that and they are ready to change, please refer them to a rehabilitation center. The counseling can continue, but once cravings start coming in that somebody cannot do without drugs, better we refer to a rehabilitation center. I'm still going to move on to another one that we'll see now that is beyond the rehabilitation center. The next is in the course of counseling, and counseling here is not just a day affair, as you would have maybe assumed from what I've been saying. It may not be done one day. It may be like we may be giving appointment for the person to see. You need to monitor the client's attitude. Keep monitoring the attitude. The moment you start seeing this person, number one, showing non-coherence, this person is not coherent, this person starts saying all sorts and going off point, you need to direct the psychiatrist. The moment it starts showing that the brain is affected, it has gone beyond it has gone beyond counseling. It's now medical. So please refer to a psychiatrist for them to take care. Then subtly talk on sex and sexual relationship. Please, it's very important in counseling drug addict. I tell you, some have 4 people doing them at the same time. Some boys just do anyhow. So please ask questions on sexual relationship, and you may need to take them to the hospital for testing. You may need to tell their parents to take them for HIV testing and counseling. Also, try to help bridge broken relationship. Many of them, because of this drug substance abuse, their family don't want to see them again. Recently, I had a case. The mother just got angry. I don't want to see you again. And it took a member of the family to take that child in. Because having spent so much on that child, the child developed started using substance and lost a particular part of his life that the parents has been investing so much money on. And they look at it, all money they spent for years wasted just because of substance abuse. So they had to we don't want to see you again. So it's good as a counselor to help bridge the gap. Then try to help, broken relationship. Provide information on education and other things that can engage the mind. Because when you're taking this thing away, something else must be put in place. Example, like what Jesus, the example Jesus gave us, that if a spirit leaves a place and there is nothing occupying that particular place, it will go out and bring more, even worse spirits than it to come and occupy such place. So please, like what we do, we try to engage them in craft. We try to ask them questions on what they can do. If they stop this substance use, what can you do with your time? And some eventually start engage in vocational training and trade. Some even go back to school and the rest of it. Now, maintain interaction with family of the client, giving them insights on how to manage the person, because you won't have time to counsel this person forever. The person will go back to their home, to their family. So it's important the family knows how to take care of this. What we have in our facility is a family forum where people we are counseling, people we are rehabilitating, come together once in a month to discuss. There is teaching and then there is discussion. So as counselor, try to engage and relate with the family of your client in order to teach them and help them to know how to take care of these people. Also, I'll just run over this. Provide realistic feedback on problems and progress in substance resistance. Tell them how you are seeing them faring. Encourage where you need to encourage, and where the person is lacking, try to tell them that, look, this one is like you're not doing well. Please try and do well. Encourage and monitor abstinence. Help the client get involved in self-help groups, e.g. AA groups. There are some groups I learned of at Ikeja. For those who may know that part of Lagos, they have the groups where people go if you want to chill out. They call it chill out areas. You just go for meetings like that. I think Pastor Tony Rapu has one too. And we also have one at our facility where people who are chilled out want to just come and relate with other people and interact. So if you have access to some of them, encourage your client to visit. And then finally, ensure you lead the clients back to Christ. There is nothing we can give more than bringing these people back to the Lord. The Lord is the best thing they can ever get. Jesus Christ is the only way out of whatever they are engaged in. So whoever is in Christ is a new creature. Let them know that everything they are done or they might have done in the course of being addicted has gone. Let them know that with Christ, or though some of them might even have killed. Please, you are hearing it. Some of them might have killed in the course of stealing money to get drugs. They might have killed people just to cut away their substances. Please, it's important we lead them back to Christ and help them to engage in Bible-believing churches so that they'll be able to come back to being useful citizens. Thank you. Now, I saw a question pop up. How can we prevent drug addiction? I'm through with the class. So I'm through. I'm just quickly going to that question. How do we prevent drug use in our schools? Number one, if it's a day school, orientation is very important. Day and boarding, orientation is very important. Counselors need to do to relate with the students more and encourage them. Also, like in one of the facilities where I live, they take them to places where those who had been involved in some vices, where they end up. I think my daughter had joined them to go to one of those excursions before, to show them that, look, if you do this, this is what you may end as. Then another thing is security. We should ensure the security officers in the facilities are people who have the mind of God, not those that will sneak substance into the school. And if we know there are people who have the mind of God, then they can check. Random checking. Everybody watch everybody. Engage the student. Make them friends with the authority. Don't make students rebel against the authority, because the moment students don't like authority, they become friends with themselves and they keep their secrets. But if you make them, all of them, your friends, then it will be easy to have access to what they are doing. Yes, we may not be able to 100% prevent some things, but we can, as I said, stem the menace, reduce the influence, and God will help us. Thank you. Any other question, please?
Any other question, please make use of the chat session. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the session. Thank you for teaching us. Thank you for helping us out. It's one thing to be a counselor. It's another thing to also know that there are different stages to counseling as well. We sincerely appreciate your teaching. If there are no questions, in the absence of no other question, I would like to hand over to the convener and the facilitators of this event, Mrs. Ekweme, for the closing remark. Again, thank you, and thanks to Mrs. Ogochukwu as well, who took the first session on child and adolescent counseling. We appreciate you and we say thank you for the good job. Well done, sir, and well done, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am, Mrs. Ekweme.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Oluwadam Lola Mola. That's a wonderful session. Pastor Meroyi, we appreciate you, sir. Thank you for enlightening us. Thank you for giving this. Thank you for giving us the grace to tap from your wealth of experience. I pray that the Lord will increase you on every side in the name of Jesus, and you never lose your reward in heaven and on earth and in heaven in the name of Jesus. The Lord will take care of your family. Your ministry will not suffer, and you will never be stranded in the name of Jesus. To everyone in the room, we appreciate us. Thanks for coming. It's almost 2 hours now we started, and we all waited till now. Please, the reason for putting this together is because we noticed a wide gap in counseling, especially Christian counseling. In our churches, if you ask of counseling department, you hardly see one. If they bring 1-2 people to us, ask them few questions. They are not really being active in the church. That department is lying low. Whereas the Bible says that where there's no counsel, my people fall. In the multitude of counselors, there's safety. So for all these issues we are having, we heard it now, live and direct from someone who manages a facility. Now it's throughout this month, almost every week I come across people who are into drug addiction. I was able to speak with a set of street girls who are on rehabilitation now. And to my amazement, one of them said that she was contemplating committing suicide. I was like, say it again. She said she wanted to kill herself because that when she was on the street, it really affected her mental health. Though she has been treated that she's coming out of it, but sometimes her friends make mockery of her. It took me a while before I could convince her that she shouldn't commit suicide. And I really thank God that I took that move. So for each and every one of us who have participated in this tonight, please, let us save the nation. Let us save the church. Let's create awareness. Pastor Mero, please, we are still going to discuss. People don't believe that this is true. I've seen parents, a particular family I'm working with now. The boy confessed to me that he has been into drug, he is coming out of it, but the father didn't know, the mother knew, but she's living in denial. So I'm just praying that God, maybe I will even refer them to you or your facility. So please, let's create awareness on child and adolescent, on family counseling, whichever one that we have interest in. In Delta State, there's a serious issue in Delta State now. It is in Delta State that about 47 young men were caught conducting gay marriage. It was in Delta State that a proprietor raped a 4-year-old girl and bastardized her. It was in Delta State, a father went to a school, beat a teacher to coma because that one corrected the son until the man died. And from investigation, I discovered that even internet fraud, scammer, and all that, it is on rampage in Delta State. So if you know anyone in Delta State that can give us chance so that we can raise men of war, it is now a calling. It is something that we cannot just close our eyes. If we, as believers, we have churches, we have religious organizations. Those of us that have influence in schools, let's create this awareness. In secondary school, in primary school, I was told by a school evaluator that she visited a particular school, and when they got there, a child was just misbehaving. She became mentally unstable. And it was discovered that a child brought Colorado from home. On getting to school, she prepared it, put it inside Indomie. She gave it to her friends. She didn't eat out of it. And as many young girls who ate out of that, a secondary school, they became mentally unstable, that they even recorded it. And the school was trying to hide it from them, that it's not from the school. So these are the issues. You know, he was speaking about day or boarding school. If you have a mixed school, if you are in school system, education system, if you are running a mixed school, day and boarding school, some of the day pupils or students, they are the one that we buy for the boarders. And this happen under our nose and we don't know. So please, let's create more awareness. Let's tell people more. Let's have inscription not Bible inscription alone, biblical one. Please, let's write drug, substance, the implication and all that. We've learned this evening, and I pray that the word will not stand against us on the judgment day in the name of Jesus. For each of these courses we have discussed here, it will take like 3 months, a semester to run it. So this is just a crash program. It's just an introduction. For us to go into drug and substance abuse, child and adolescent, will take us like 3 months. But we are planning to put all this together. If there's a way we can do it on monthly basis, run a particular aspect of counseling. Like Mrs. Omola, the anchor, had said that many people don't even know. We have various branches of counseling. So please, let's start from where we are and be a man of influence, a woman of influence. The Lord will help us in Jesus' name. Thank you. Over.
Thank you, Ma, for the closing remarks.
To you,
next week we'll be having, yes, thank you so much, Ma. Next week, by the grace of God, we'll be having the last class for this cohort. Please do invite as many as you can. Hopefully, for those who are in the counseling group, if you are not, please send your message privately to the educator forum. And then hopefully we can also get the recording of classes as well. You can send your message to Mrs. Ekueme or the Educators Forum to Project Education to your contact, so you can be added to the group and get a copy of a link for this class and previous classes, as well as the slides too. From me to you, have a great night rest. Tomorrow is Sunday. Ensure that you go to church, and we ensuring that we counsel and we teach people as we should. Have a good night rest, and God bless you. My name again is Oluwadamilola Omola. Good night.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night. Thank you. Bye.
Good night.
Good night, ma'am.
Thank you all. God bless.
Thank you, Pastor. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Good night.
Good night, sir. Thank you. Bye.
Good night, ma'am.
Good night, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.